Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for inviting me to speak this evening. I'm Jane Taves. I'm a member of Temple Bethel in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm happy to reflect with you about Tikkun Olam issues that particularly impact women in our society. This week's Torah portion is Tzav. My first stop in thinking about a Dvar Torah is to pick up the Torah, a women's commentary, and spend a little time with the parasha. Tzav is a bit challenging for me to find the connection with our lives and our topic for this evening. It begins with a great deal of detail for the priests about conducting ritual sacrifices. And then it describes the details about the ordination of priests. The kernel that I found in this is the clear exclusion of women from becoming priests. The Women's Torah commentary points out that in this biblical time, neighboring cultures, such as Mesopotamia, included women priests. But our Torah recognizes only male priests, specifically in this parasha, Aaron and his sons. Not so surprising overall, but interesting to me as we consider the rights of women today, and as we are in the midst of a celebration of 50 years of women in the rabbinate in North America, which is wonderful, even though 50 years is not really that long when you come to think about it. So here we are this evening to consider the social justice issues that particularly impact women today. When we think about women's social justice issues, we naturally think about reproductive health and rights. I don't need to tell you that reproductive rights may be in greater jeopardy right now than at any time in my memory. The Texas vigilante-style anti-abortion bill has been allowed by the Supreme Court to stay in effect, and it was just last week affirmed by the state of Texas Supreme Court. Any path to stopping it appears to be at an end. And the Supreme Court heard oral arguments in December in the Mississippi anti-abortion case, which is Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. And the justices seem inclined to uphold that law as well. And in the process, they seem likely to, in effect, strike down Roe versus Wade. We know that we soon may be living in a post-Roe society. I don't need to tell you any of that. What I thought I would share with you instead is a story about how I recently came to appreciate the issues around reproductive rights in a more nuanced way. In 2019 and 2020, I had the privilege of serving as one of the co-facilitators for the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism, otherwise known as the RACS, Reproductive Health and Rights Cohort. This cohort was a network of congregation leaders from across North America who self-selected for a deep dive into this topic. And as we began our work, we were tossing around the name Reproductive Justice for our cohort. On the surface, it seemed a descriptive term for what we were trying to accomplish. And then we looked more closely. And what we learned was that the term reproductive justice has a specific meaning. It's the name of a movement that was started in the 1990s by women of color. The more we learned, the more we realized that it was not appropriate or respectful for us to be using this title to describe our work. But learning about this movement opened our eyes to additional layers in the struggle around women's health issues. From my privileged point of view, I had tended to frame that struggle as the need to protect legal access to abortion. And that is certainly important. I'm not trying to say that it isn't. But I came to better understand that for many people, including the most vulnerable among us, keeping abortion legal does not mean that it is accessible. And there are a number of reasons for this. As you probably know, the Hyde Amendment prohibits federal funds from being used for abortion care. What this means is that if your health care coverage is Medicaid, it will not pay for this procedure. If you cannot afford to pay the cost yourself, it does not matter if the procedure is legal. And the cost of the procedure itself is just the beginning. Let me share a quote with you that says it better than I can. Quote, "A reproductive justice framework takes into account whether a person can afford an abortion, whether a gender non-conforming person can feel safe from the threat of discrimination or violence while accessing such gendered care, whether a person has a clinic nearby or whether they have to travel a significant distance, whether there is an immigration checkpoint along the way, what access to transportation looks like, the economic impact for a person who does not have paid sick leave and needs to take several days off from work because of long distance travel and waiting periods, whether the clinic is wheelchair accessible, and on, end quote." This quote was from Veronica Bayeta Flores, who's identified as a queer immigrant writer and activist. With all these additional challenges, it does not matter if the procedure is legal. Equally meaningful to me was that reproductive justice movement is not just about access to abortion. It takes a holistic view about a person's right to have a family or to not have a family. So one more quote, this from Sister Song, which is one of the original reproductive justice organizations. Quote, "Reproductive justice is not just about abortion. Abortion access is critical, but women of color and other marginalized persons also often have difficulty accessing contraception, comprehensive sex education, sexually transmitted infection prevention and care, alternative birth options, adequate prenatal and pregnancy care, domestic violence assistance, adequate wages to support our families, safe homes for our children, and so much more," end quote. So, back to my story. In the end, we named our Reformed Jewish cohort Reproductive Health and Rights. And at the same time, we tried to look at everything with a reproductive justice framework in mind, to understand how much more complex these issues are for people who do not live with the privilege that we do. Now, I can't leave you without asking just briefly, what can we do now? How can we take action? Some suggestions. First, support repeal of the Hyde Amendment. The EACH Act, which stands for Equal Access to Abortion Coverage and Health Insurance, was introduced by Representative Barbara Lee of California and Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois in March 2021 to do just this, to repeal the Hyde Amendment. And doing this would make abortion a covered service for people on Medicaid people in the military, and anyone else who works for the federal government. You can urge all your elected officials to support it. Another legislative tool is the Women's Health Protection Act, WHPA. You've probably heard that if the Supreme Court strikes down Roe v. Wade, the only way to protect legal and safe abortion nationwide will be through legislation, to codify it into law. This WHPA Act is designed to take that step. It passed in the House of Representatives in September and went to the Senate, where one of its co-sponsors is my senator from Wisconsin, Tammy Baldwin. And I was planning to urge you to take one more legislative action, but this action is no longer needed, and instead we can celebrate some good news. The Violence Against Women Reauthorization Act, which is an act that strengthens the commitment to meeting the needs and protecting all survivors of gender-based violence, had been languishing in the Senate for some time. But just about 1 week ago, the Senate advocates for this bill managed to put it into the spending authorization bill, which passed the Senate late on Thursday, March 10th. So it has now been authorized. Very good news. So back to our actions. How do you do all these things? Such an easy answer. If you go to the website of the Religious Action Center, and that website is rac.org, under the advocacy menu, you will find these and other opportunities to take action. And I know that I have sometimes questioned how much impact it has when I just click, click, click and send letters to my senators and my congressperson, because that is all it takes. But I have been assured by the professionals at the RAC how effective it can be. So do it, go there. If you sign up for their email updates, then when new actions are needed, you will not need to search them out. They will land right in your inbox, and you too can click, click, click. I want to thank your Tikkun Olam committee for designating your contributions this evening to go to Gratitude Generation in Deerfield to support the fight for menstrual justice, another topic for another day and very much needed. And I want to thank you all for inviting me tonight. Shabbat Shalom.